This episode is brought to you by Marshalls, where you never have to compromise between quality and price. The buyers at Marshalls hustle hard, working to bring you great deals on brand name and designer pieces. Because Marshalls believes everyone deserves access to the good stuff. Visit a Marshalls store near you or shop online at marshalls.com.
Abercrombie Kids is bringing the ultimate first day energy back to school. It all starts with on-trend outfits for that front door photo shoot. Plus, the coolest tees, shorts, and jeans to take them through the rest of the year. Get them ready for their close-up and keep them comfy too. Make this grade their best one yet. Shop all things back to school, in-store, online, and in the app.
This summer, try the new Strato Frappuccino blended beverage at Starbucks. It's the classic blended iced coffee you know and love, now topped with a creamy layer of handcrafted brown sugar cold foam. Available for a limited time. Your Strato Frappuccino is ready at Starbucks.
Hey there, we're Book Talk for Book Talk with Jack and Amy, your book besties who take the novels you love seriously. This is Jack.
And I'm Amy, and we embrace and respect modern fantasy, romance, and romantasy books written by women. And so it's in our nature to analyze these books as we would any other novel we might have dissected in school.
With our combined 13 years of literary academic training, we use our education to analyze and give voice to reasons why you may love or hate today's popular books.
This is part 2 of our season finale, where we're discussing chapters 49 through 56 of Sarah J. Maas's second Throne of Glass novel, Crown of Midnight.
Before we dive in, don't forget Spilt. Spoilers, perspective, interpretation, language, and themes.
If you'd like more information, please go back and listen to the start of part 1 of this week's episode.
What I really like about Dorian is the complexity that is him, because he is goodness. Like we read this and you're just like, wow, he does have goodness. It does inspire, but he's also jealous and he's also petty. He makes some really petty choices to undermine Chaol. He gets very jealous. He has a lot of other feelings, but there is a goodness to him. So I actually want to just take a moment to appreciate what kind of layers this character has. I find him to be one of the most human and relatable of the characters.
I think, yeah, I completely agree. I actually, for as two-dimensional as he is in Throne of Glass, in Crown of Midnight, he does develop a complexity that I really appreciate. And it is why he becomes one of the most beloved characters in this series.
But the complexity of Crown of Midnight and Dorian would never have happened without his simplicity in Throne of Glass, So part of the reason why we had to really hammer home how much of a playboy, how much he didn't care, how much he really sucked in the first book was to get to this point of saying, wow, he's grown. Those parts of him are still there. There are still some very shitty parts, but that doesn't stop someone from being a good person if you try. We are now in the king's point of view, and Chaol has just told him his proposal on sending Celaena to Wendlyn. Quote, "If only Westfall had been his heir instead. This warrior's mind was sharp, and he didn't balk from doing what needed to be done. The prince had yet to learn that kind of ruthfulness." And at this point, I'm not going to read the quote, but the king also realizes that Chaol got his father's backing as well as other councilmen's backing. And he was just like, ooh, he came prepared. I love that shit. And it's funny because Chaol is doing all of this for good reasons, but at the same time, Chaol is sacrificing his life to be a quote unquote good heir to his father as well. So, the king's like, oh, I wish I had him as a son. And then his dad's like, finally, I'm going to have him as a son.
I think it's also a comment on how Chaol's good intentions and good intentions in general, no matter if they're based in what someone thinks is moral, doesn't stop that person from doing bad things. You can easily fall into the wrong thinking patterns, even if you feel fundamentally you are a good person.
Mm-hmm.
And because I'm almost at the end of Mockingjay, I have to make a Gale reference. But Gale in the Hunger Games series is the perfect example of this. Just because if you have good intentions doesn't mean you're not capable of doing bad things. You are very capable of doing bad things if you don't check yourself.
Stick around, not next week, but the following week, where we go into our next book club where we start with Hunger Games. We learned the name of the king's sword, Nathung, or as I initially read it, not hung. I was like, that's a really weird thing to say your sword's not hung. Nathung.
Of course, it's sexual.
I just was like, huh? Okay. You can also, I think you can look at Norse mythology or German musical Der Ring des Nibbler. I don't know.
Nibelungen. Yeah.
Nibelungen.
Nibelungen.
I feel like we really nailed that. That sounds legit to me. I pulled this straight out of Wikipedia, so I'm going to quote it. The play, quote, "The plot revolves around a magic ring that grants the power to rule the world, and Nathung is pulled from the tree," and then I add this, a la Excalibur.
We talked about this actually in the Throne of Glass episode 2 last season. It's the only other time the sword is named. Same name.
Zero memory.
I was like, I know that we've talked about this before. At first, I thought it was in a different season, not the Throne of Glass season. But it is also German for wrath.
Yeah. I think the ring part was interesting because we know that he is a ruler with a ring that's trying to take over a lot of things. And there is a lot to that. I love how at the end of SJM's books, sometimes, a lot of times, we get these beautiful wrap-up moments, and especially in this moment when the king thinks about Baba Yellowlegs. Quote, "He invited the carnival here to meet with her." I love this wrap-up because when the carnival was first brought out, Dorian very casually thought, that's kind of weird. Why would my dad allow this? This is so close to magic. And it was such an offhanded comment, and it was done in a way that was just normal, like very speculative. Like that was like kind of him being like, wow, I'm surprised this one got through. And we find out that his dad is the one who invited him, / has the worst timing in the world because that carnival was there for a while before Baba Yellowlegs died. So that's on him. Be faster.
Now, I have more of references in the breadcrumbs to what Jack is talking about, but I want to ask the question here without spoiling too much. Why are we in the king's point of view right now? It's only happened, once before? Maybe twice?
Couple times,
but not a lot for the second novel. I think on one hand, we get to see a quote unquote objective point of view as the decision Chaol has made plays out and unfolds in front of Dorian and Celaena. I also know it's because SJM is setting up Heir of Fire. Quote, "He'd have to send riders immediately to the Farian Gap and the Dead Islands and have General Norok ready his legion. He didn't mean to make mistakes with this one chance in Wendlyn, and it would be the perfect opportunity to test a few of the weapons he'd been forging in secret all these years. We don't know who the fuck General Norok is. We don't know where the Dead Islands are. Farian Gap's been maybe mentioned once. It's all gibberish until you realize, oh, this is relevant. And maybe it's supposed to bring up dread for us to realize, oh, we have to pay attention to Aderlin even if Celaena is going off to Wendlyn."
There's still more a brewing.
Yep.
Celaena then goes to check out the tomb, and who's there? Our favorite ghost who suddenly has enough power and energy to come make an appearance. Incredible that she only has energy to be there when she wants to say shit, not when she's needed. Fantastic that. Quote, "Celaena shook her head, looking at the sunlight pouring into the tomb from the shaft above. Will you ever stop giving me commands?" Elena let out a soft laugh. "When you stop running from your past, I will." It's so funny that Elena.
That's
just
it.
Thigh slapper, knee slapper, whatever. Every body slapper, slap her face. Ghostly see-through face. I'm going to point out the symbolic reference, meaningful, significant moment here. Normally there's moonlight in the tomb, and we talk about the moonlight being representing the truth and being revealed as what Celaena needs to know. And in the moment we have sunlight, and instead we get a big fat fucking lie from Elena, and that's a lie by omission. Everything from her is a lie by omission. But just this idea of when you stop running from your past, I will. That's not true. It's just when you stop running from your past, it's just accepting all the commands.
Yeah.
More commands.
Yeah. I do want to look at the sun a little bit differently But I like where you're going with that about Elena lying. Quote, Celaena studied the light pouring into the tomb, such a little light holding the darkness at bay. Now, on one hand, the sunlight is symbolism for Celaena, right? The little light that she has left in her and the little hope that she has, which is going to continue into Heir of Fire. I also feel like on some level, there's some foreshadowing that what Celaena will accomplish will ultimately end up being on her terms, and it will give her the power to no longer be under the influence of Elena. Because if Elena has been present through moonlight and everything's happened under moonlight, Celaena naturally, as the person that possesses fire magic, coming into her power would outshine the moonlight eventually.
Very true. Well, it's interesting because, what are stars if not, made up of fire and gas? And you know what's not made up of fire?
The moon.
Take that. I don't know. Take that, Elena. I don't know what the fuck that means. Take a sip.
The moon only reflects the light of the sun, and therefore it's just a dirty little borrower who is impersonating. I'm just kidding.
The moon is basically the sun in cosplay.
Or it's cosplaying as the sun.
Yeah. Take that, moon.
Take that, Elena.
Okay, can I tell you an insult I came up with in my head fighting no one?
Sure.
So this is inspired by, I was at a party and someone tried to call me a millennial as an insult. The thing is, they didn't know I was a millennial. They thought I was just like older. And so this is my dramatic, I'm still working the fine tuning this insult, but if I ever need it, here it is. So in theory, someone says something about me being over 30 and being a millennial. And then I'd be like, that's really weird since you're a 20-year-old cosplaying as a 30-year-old with how you look.
Good one.
I would never say that because we shouldn't shame about age, but in my head when I was fighting that no person.
But you're not shaming age. You're shaming the fact that they do too much to their face to look older.
I mean, it is.
We should not shame women for their appearance.
No, but can I have a sidebar here? So it's relatively known that millennials look very, freakishly younger than everything. And I think a big part of that is because of not all Gen Z, but a big part of Gen Z, the ones who are in mainstream culture and media, are really loading themselves up with filler. And that just ages you by a shit ton. Now, here's what I struggle with. I don't know what men look like anymore. Because have you ever seen a 35-year-old man? Hold on. This is so not worth it. And we're going to spend time on this.
Well, I know the prince in Ever After, the actor was 33 when he played that role.
Really? But then he looks like 40.
He looks super old.
Okay, so I sent you a series of photos of this guy that I found on TikTok. I look at this and I'm like, I sent this to my mom and I'm like, Mom, how old do you think this guy is? And she was like 40. If you told me 37.
Yeah, I would have said older 30s.
Older 30s, right? I look at him and I'm like, oh, I still look like the baby between us, right?
Yeah.
This man's 22.
What?
Yeah.
That was very loud. I'm sorry. What?
And then I was watching this video of someone saying, stopping a guy on the street and he was like, how old are you? And, what's the youngest you would date? And I thought, okay, this man's 45, 50? He was 35. And so I don't know what, we talk about women looking different. I think it's kind of easy where I'm like, oh, okay, well, millennial women look great because we were the first generation with sunscreen, and some Gen Z women look older because they've loaded up their face with fillers. I don't understand men. That's the one I'm the most confused at. I can't look at my gym crush, Amy. He could be 20 for all I know.
Yeah, I think he's in his 20s.
Oh, no. But I look like I'm in my 20s.
Yeah, but I know you're not in your 20s.
I make pop culture references in my 20s. When I accidentally applied to a Netflix dating show, I did write that in my thing where it's like, how old are you? 35. But I make pop culture references like I'm 25.
Nice.
Back to the book. We are in chapter 54, and we are in Chaol's point of view, and we see the boys have had a falling out while Chaol pulls the old yeller trick. Quote, he hated each lie that came out of his mouth, but Dorian drank them up, his eyes seeming to glow with rage. This was the one sacrifice he'd make, because if Dorian didn't hate him, If he didn't want Chaol gone, then leaving for Aniel would be that much more difficult. I mean, it's a classic move of no one wants you, go away. I have no feelings. I'm now suddenly an entirely different person who has an entirely different opinion on everything. Move of trying to make it like, don't look at me. I'm doing all these other like things that I'm sacrificing. But I would like to note that Chaol is sacrificing his friendship with Dorian for Celaena and her secrets. That is part of it because Dorian wants to know, like, dude, what the hell? Why are you setting her away? Chaol doesn't even give I can't tell you. Chaol doesn't even say that's Celaena's story to tell. There isn't a single clue that he is leaving behind for his friend. It is a straight up because I'm a dick. That's why.
And this is what gets me, because how can you rag on Celaena when you pull the same shit?
I know. They're so bad with their emotions.
They could have had a simple conversation.
So easy.
I bargained with my dad to save Celaena, and I know you don't like it, but I have to go fulfill that bargain.
Whoa! Careful there. You just saved chapters. You just saved chapters, books of info. Another way you could say it of, look, Celaena's in danger here. You know your father is a threat. The best thing for everyone. I asked you before, what would we do to get her out? And I found a way to get her out. Look at that. I didn't even mention being Fae. Amazing.
Chaol is playing the martyr because martyrs are noble.
And he's a noble hoe.
He is a noble hoe. Now, to really rub it in Dorian's face, Chaol says, quote, one of us has to start leading Dorian, and stalked off. Dorian didn't follow him. I love this. There's a lot I think I can read into this. Chaol, on some level, resents Dorian for not being a leader, right? Dorian's never had to try hard to lead people. He's never said anything about that up until this point, though, because he probably knows on some level Dorian is self-conscious about that. Now, Dorian doesn't choose to follow Chaol. Symbolically, you know, it's telling us Dorian's not going to follow Chaol down his self-destructive path just because he thinks it's honorable. And quite frankly, the irony of this is in a book from now, Chaol's going to be like, wow, I think I see a king in Dorian.
Yeah.
Because maybe, Chaol, your way is not the right way. We're back in Celaena's point of view, and she makes this random comment about the weather. Quote, the last of the winter snows had melted, leaving the world barren and brown, waiting for spring. We've talked about how weather is often an important indicator in literature for a character's state of mind or the plot or something else symbolically. We've talked about how snow and cold has been such a big part of Celaena's characterization up until now. And I think I have said this in a different episode. The winter is ending. The winter snows are melted because Celaena has finally revealed her true identity and is back on the path to being Aelin because she is representing fire. She has metaphorically melted the snow. And as we enter the spring and summer, we're going to see Celaena truly become Aelin. Now, before the chapter ends, Celaena makes an oath to Nehemia that she will free Ilwe. If you read the description of Celaena's actions after she cuts her hand, she's on her knees and she bows so low that her forehead touches the ground, which in Chinese culture is called a kowtow, which I think is technically Cantonese. I don't actually know how they say it in Mandarin, but the rest of them
are kowtowed for me.
And I will not.
Do you only do it for the dead?
You do it as a symbol of the utmost reverence and subservience.
You know what? Good news. I can promise that I'll never do it, mostly because my hamstrings are too tight for that.
It's a sign of worship. It's deep respect. You basically only did it at the shrine of Buddha,
Oh, okay.
our gods, or the emperor.
We don't have to limber up for one another to bow.
Although, that's right. That's right. You might kowtow to your parents if you were like in trouble.
Did you?
No. Or if you were asking, like, I'm thinking of like people asking for someone else's hand in marriage. I don't know. I'm making up shit at this point. But it is a real thing. It is a sign of deep respect, subservience, worship. Celaena is doing that to Nehemia at her grave, to Nehemia's memory. She is committing herself to be Nehemia's servant, the servant of her will, which is true. Celaena cuts her hand to make the blood oath. Quote, blood welled ruby bright against the golden dawn. Ruby, golden sounds like things you might find in a treasure, like maybe a sacrifice you might leave on the altar of a god. I thought it was very cleverly done.
Absolutely. I'm just so happy we're not blood oath people.
Yeah, no.
You and me.
No.
No. Before we go on, Amy, do you really think my gym crush is in his 20s?
Yeah.
No.
I could see him being his older 20s.
Ew.
I bet if he shaved off his facial hair, he would look like a baby.
Oh, no. All right. Well, I don't understand men anymore.
Well, let me really examine it the next time he's in the gym.
Wait till I get even more hot and then initiate conversation.
And find out.
That he's gay or something.
That's
one thing. That is a straight ass guy.
I think he looks very straight.
That is a straight man if I've ever seen one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Chapter 55 starts, and Dorian goes to say one more goodbye, and for the life of me, I can't remember something, so please help. What? That's my note.
Yeah, and the irony is her hand is bandaged.
Yeah.
Even though
I'm done. That's it.
Even though I just talked about it?
Forgot that was it. Yeah, all right, never mind. Moving on. Her hand is bandaged. Yep, nope, I'm done. Keep going. All right, next note. Dorian and Celaena have a good little chat. He swears that he's going to take care of his dog. When he says, I'll take care of Fleetfoot like one of my own, I was like, in the kennels? No, thank you. You treat your dogs like dogs, all right? This little girl, she gets to get princess treatment. And he does say, I'll let her sleep in my bed. And Celaena tells him this, quote, I'll come back for you. And he knew there was more that she wasn't saying, some bigger meaning behind those words. If you guys know, if you've read the whole series and you know what happens, that was hurting. That hurts.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, before Celaena says that, she also says, quote, thank you for all that you have done for me, Dorian. Thank you for being my friend, for not being like the others.
What a shady thing. That includes Nehemia. All right, keep going.
Yeah, so we can read into this a couple of ways. On one hand, she values and accepts his otherness, thanks him for it. And, on one hand, that's because he has magic. But on another, Celaena needed someone who didn't expect more from her, like Chaol and Nehemia. And ultimately, unlike Chaol and Nehemia, Dorian has not lied to Celaena the way that everyone else has. And so his otherness is actually a real goodness. He doesn't assume that he knows what's best for Celaena. He doesn't assume he is morally better than Celaena. And that's what she needed.
It's funny because the moment that he was rejected by her and the moment she kind of also was like, I can't even be friends with him, he did stop expecting things from her. And that really cleared everything up because he was one of the people who had expectations of her in the first book.
Right. Absolutely.
But then she shut all that down, and that was then able to pave way for a real friendship.
Yeah. Which, of the three, Chaol, Nehemia, Dorian, it's probably the only true friendship she has.
By the end of the book, yes.
By the end of this book, yes.
At the front of the book, Chaol was one of the only true friends. And then now.
Yeah, but it was always sexually charged.
The best friendships are.
Not our friendship.
I didn't say we had the best friendship. It's for the best.
Plot twist, it's an ad break, but we promise it is still canon. Growing up, my parents were obsessive about the chore charts and the stickers that we got to use to track our chores and what each completed chore was worth in money.
And now with Acorns Early, you can apply that to today's kids with modern technology. It's genius. Acorns Early is a smart debit card and money app that grows kids' money skills as they grow up.
Start with the in-app chores tracker and teach your kids the value of $1.
Then let your kids set up their own savings goals, start building healthy money habits early.
Make them work for that PS5.
Absolutely.
Kids can spend what they've earned with their own customizable debit card, giving them the extra sense of independence.
Plus, with Acorns Early, spending limits and real-time spending notifications, parents always stay in control.
This is definitely something I would use if I had kids because I love nothing more than teaching hard work for reward.
This is what's going to happen when I have kids. You're going to be teaching my kids with Acorns Early.
That's exactly right.
Ready to teach your kids the smart way to earn, save, and spend? Get your first month on us when you head to acornsearly.com/booktalk or download the Acorns Early app.
That's 1 month free when you sign up at acornsearly.com/booktalk. BOOKTALK.
Acorns Early Card is issued by Community Federal Savings Bank, member FDIC, pursuant to license by MasterCard International. Free trial for new subscribers only. Subscription fee starting from $5 per month unless canceled. Terms apply at acorns.com/early terms.
This show is sponsored by Liquid IV.
I'll give you one guess into what's my Stanley right now.
Probably something with electrolytes, like Liquid IV.
It's not even funny how true that is. Liquid IV is scientifically formulated to help replenish electrolytes and fluids lost from sweat or exercise, which is perfect because I am both sweating and exercising this summer.
It has 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, plus 8 vitamins and nutrients, all in a single stick. And guess what? They've got Orange Vanilla Dream Hydration right now. It is so nostalgic. Makes me think of summer instantly.
The fact that it has 100% daily value of 4 essential B vitamins, B3, B5, B6, B12, it's an excellent source of vitamin C, and it makes me just feel like I've really accomplished a lot just by drinking one of these.
Powered by Liquid IV Hydroscience, Liquid IV replaces necessary nutrients lost from everyday dehydration, and it doesn't matter if you live somewhere dry or humid, trust me, you're dehydrated.
Just 1 stick and 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone.
It is always non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. And if you're like me and are sensitive to everything, it is fantastic.
Savor the last bits of summer with Liquid IV. Tear, pour, live more. Go to liquidiv.com and get 20% off your first order with code BOOKTALK at checkout.
That's 20% off your first order and code BOOKTALK, BOOKTALK, at liquidiv.com.
What does every USAA member have in common? Family. We're one big family who supports the military community and their eligible families. And if you, your parent, or spouse served, you could join our family and save big on auto insurance. Visit USAA.com/join today to check your eligibility. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
The Jack Welch Management Institute at Strayer University helps you go from, I know the way, to I've arrived with our top 10 ranked online MBA. Gain skills you can learn today and apply tomorrow. Get ready to go from make it happen to made it happen and keep striving. Visit strayer.edu/JackWelchMBA to learn more. Strayer University is certified to operate in Virginia by Chev and has many campuses, including at 2121 15th Street North in Arlington, Virginia.
Celaena decides the best way to tell Chaol everything is when she only has 5 minutes left before she has to leave on a boat. She was like, you know what I should do? Reveal it all here and now. She, quote, couldn't explain that the king would kill him if she didn't return. That knowledge could be fatal to him. And even if he ran away, the king had threatened Nehemia's family too. Yeah, you can actually explain that. You can explain it just like that.
Yeah, 2 sentences. That's it.
Like saying, hey, I know you probably don't care for your life, but Nehemia's family is at risk. There we go. I finished that so fast. But in her last moments with Chaol, she does say, quote, if you hadn't convinced the king to send me away, we could have figured them out together. But now, I think that's a low blow. I think that's a really important note to see how disconnected she is from her own mistakes that she's making right now. Because one, not sitting him, the moment she realized that she was leaving, not sitting him down and being like, hey, I got a lot more to tell you, not telling him that his life is in danger. It's all part of the clusterfuck that will later be the series. And she is playing a big role in that. And then, but to make it sound like everything would have been okay if Chaol had just told her, like everything would have been fine if we had just, if you had communicated, been the one to communicate. And the way that she makes it sound would have been like, we would have figured them out together. And I think that's another low blow, because would she actually have gone to him?
Right. Well, that's inconsistent with a quote I read not that long ago where she said, no, I wouldn't ask him to follow me.
Yeah.
So this is gaslighting.
I also think it's giving mixed messages. I think that it's kind of like, well, we could have figured it out together. You know, where it's like, all of a sudden I'm like, well, what does together mean? What does together mean? And then we get more mixed messages from her. Quote, I want you to remember that it wouldn't have made any difference to me. It never made any difference to me when it came to you. I'd still pick you. I'll always pick you. All right. I am the kind of person that'd be like, that was a present tense. That wasn't just a past tense. And my little love sick heart would have been like, all right, so we're still together, kind of like you still love me. And that's part of the issues that happen in future books, right? Is that she comes back and there's kind of like, she left it very open-ended saying, hey, I'd pick you. And if you think about it, Chaol's going to go figure out that she is the Queen of Terrasen and then be like, haha, the queen picked me. We could be together. She loves me. She'll always pick me. That is a very unfair way of ending things with him. And then in the next page, he tells her that he loves her, and then she tells him that she's sorry. No, too many confusing things. People, use your words. Children, that's what they are. Children, use your words.
I was just going to say, either it's poorly written or SJM meant for it to be very confusing for both of them.
I think it was meant to be confusing for both of them. I don't think any character has proven that they're honest or know how to be honest. I think Celaena has had a lifetime of keeping secrets, and she just revealed the biggest secret that she has of her life, or the second biggest, the biggest being that she's Aelin. But she just revealed one of the biggest secrets of her life, something that she's kept to herself for 10 plus years. And she does not know how to open up. She has opened up as much as she ever has. To then open up more is she's already reached her limit, right? Like she's already broken her record, and you want her, and like to have her break more records and open up more is unrealistic. And, you know, I'm sure everyone's like, oh, that makes sense. It's like, yeah, but a girl can still bitch. And I'm that girl. I'm your girl. Celaena watches Chaol, and as she gets onto the boat and, you know, drifts away, and she watches him the whole time. And I would like to note the wording, quote, and Chaol, the man she hated and loved so much that she could hardly think around him, just stood there watching her go. That is significant to me because it implies a lack of action on his part. It implies a passiveness, that Chaol is the one to just watch her go without trying to do anything. And I do want to pinpoint that because it speaks into the psyche of what Celaena thinks about him and how she views him.
Right. Ultimately, he never fights for her, right? He makes choices for her, but he doesn't fight for her.
He doesn't defy. He doesn't do anything. He just...
Yeah. Celaena's viewpoint ends with this quote, which I think extends off of what Jack is saying. Quote, she stared toward him until the glass castle was a sparkling speck in the distance. She stared toward him until there was only gleaming ocean around her. She stared toward him until the sun dropped beyond the horizon and a smattering of stars hung overhead. It was only when her eyelids drooped and she swayed on her feet that Celaena stopped staring toward Chaol. With a hiss through her teeth, Celaena Sardathian turned her back on Aderlin and sailed toward Wendlyn. It felt very significant to me that her human body, her human mind wants to cling onto Chaol and onto the past that could have been. And he makes no effort to follow her, to fight for her. And it is only when her human body fails her, because it can only handle so much, that she then decides, okay, it's time to turn toward my future and the Fae and Aelin, essentially.
Yeah. Hiss through your teeth. That wasn't through your teeth.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, I hate that feeling. I don't like the feeling. So that's what she does. And then she turns around.
Take a sip.
We are in the last chapter of this book, chapter 56. And in the final chapter, it is completely in Chaol's point of view. And he's trying to understand what Celaena said. And all Celaena gave him was a date, just the month and the day, not even a year. And he goes back to her room to look for clues. Quote, genealogies and countless royal chronicles. When had she brought these books here? I love a full circle moment because Celaena didn't bring them here. Dorian brought them here. He brought them there because he needed a private place. Because one, he knows that the tomb is there, so it's easy access for the tomb. Two, he actually really needs a place to put all his secret books and stuff. And we know that Dorian has been doing research on genealogy because of his own magic. All of this makes sense. All of this is logical. And the fact that it ends up here and it syncs up nicely, that is a writing win. It feels so good. It just meshes. And I, as a writer, I'm just like, oh, that hit.
It didn't feel forced at all.
Not at all. SJM really shows what kind of foreshadowing planning genius she is with this little nugget. Quote, that Yulmus morning when Celaena had looked so uncomfortable to be receiving the golden arrow of Deanna, the arrow of Mab. That's her grandmother and or great grandmother. And then my note was, Alexa, play It's All Coming Back to Me by Celine Dion. It's just this moment where all this like, wait a minute, and then this connects, and then this connects. And then we get the last line of this book, quote, Celaena was the lost Queen of Terrasen. Chaol sank to his knees. I love the visualization of him in this, that the reality of that rocked him so much that he is on his knees. And like, is he crying? Is he scared? Is he horrified? Like what's going on? What emotions is he experiencing? Probably all of the above, but it just leaves it there.
I love this because it's such a writing choice, because it could have been Chaol sank to his knees. Celaena was the lost Queen of Terrasen. We would be focused on Celaena in that moment. But it's the opposite way around. Celaena was the lost Queen of Terrasen. Shock. Chaol sank to his knees. And now we're left thinking, what the fuck, Chaol? Why are you so shocked? You better not be pissed about this. Because
it does leave you a question of what does that mean for him? What emotions? Because we don't get any more of relief, tears, emotion, betrayal. Like we don't know anything. And the mystery, to your point, SJM, by switching that around, leaves it on the mystery of his emotions and not the truth of her identity. It's great.
It is great.
Let's get into some breadcrumbs.
And broomsticks.
Mm-hmm.
In chapter 52, after the portal has been closed and Archer killed, the trio go back to Celaena's rooms to be seen by a healer. Quote, scowling, Dorian let the young woman clean the small wound on his temple, received when Celaena had knocked him out cold. Considering how bloody Celaena and Chaol were, he felt utterly ridiculous, even if his head still pounded. Dorian doesn't like feeling weak, and that's going to follow him into Air of Fire, where he's going to be training, and he's going to get hurt often, and he's going to have to see a nurse, the nurse that's currently helping him, who happens to be Sorsha.
Oh yeah, that is the nurse helping him. Oh, and then she dies.
If you didn't know.
we left it to we gave notes at the top of the episode that this was the spoiler, and yet every time Amy makes me feel bad.
I'm not trying to make you feel bad. I'm just trying to cover our ass for the listeners that get mad.
No, if you guys got mad, we warned you. All right, so in chapter 53, we learn from the king's point of view that Baba Yellowlegs died on his castle's property. Quote, others might come to demand answers and retribution. If they came, he would be ready, because in the shadows of the Farian Gap, he'd been breeding new mounts for his gathering armies. And his wyverns still needed riders. Hey, some more Air of Fire setup. Manon. That is the least Manon song for her, and that's what makes it great.
We also learn in chapter, 53, quote, the king had never learned anything about the mark that had glowed on Celaena's head during the duel. The word mark was impossible to decipher. It either meant nameless or unnamed or something akin to anonymous. Just a nice little reminder of what happened at the end of Throne of Glass, since it will come up in Air of Fire.
And someone said it at one point, nameless is my price.
Yeah, Baba Yellowlegs.
Baba Yellowlegs. So it's like, in theory, we should connect. I mean, and he's talking about Baba Yellowlegs. So in theory, our brains should have connected nameless and then her saying nameless is my price. And then the fact that nameless is on top of Celaena's forehead. And yet I did not. And none of us did. So, I mean, maybe one smart person, but not in this podcast. All right, let's get into broomsticks. We asked listeners, what were your thoughts on Crown of Midnight? Kind of vague, but you know. Someone writes, I just started. What are you doing? Thank you for following us. I hope you're not listening.
Yeah.
More action-packed and begins to set the tone for the series.
Mm-hmm. I actually think it's a good book, too.
I agree.
You know, it has problems, aka Nehemia, but the two like reveals about Celaena towards the end is like, you thought you were getting punched in the face with the Archer Nehemia twist, but whoa, we're getting punched in the face with Celaena's truth.
It's more dynamic than the first book.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because Nehemia dies midway through. We fall out with Chaol. We get the reveal. Archer. We get her identity or her Fae heritage. Then we get identity. Like, there is quite a bit that happens.
Yeah. I definitely felt compelled to keep reading after Crown of Midnight. Not the same with all SJM books. I agree. I do feel like Crown of Midnight and Mist and Fury are the same in that actually even Sky and Breath, you want to read the next book.
Absolutely. Someone says, it was my least favorite of all the books, even though I know it was necessary. That's hard because a lot of people have like a, you just have to get through the first 3 books attitude.
I was that attitude.
And I think part of it is because people love Rowan so much, as we learned from our mini viral video that people were not happy about. I can't wait to talk about it in season 3 for this. However, I know if people were to remove their feelings about like, I hate Chaol and I love Rowan, it's a good book.
Yeah. So here are a few that I'm going to read a few that are kind of all related. Agent of Mandalore said, in easy terms, important, but filler. Someone else said, felt a little about Crown of Midnight, even on my rereads, but y'all always make me appreciate it. And Lauren says, deserves a redo. First read, I clearly overlooked a lot after listening to the pod.
Yeah. I mean, I overlooked a lot until we started reading it. And then even then, I still overlook things like her hand being cut. So it's just amazing how much happens. We have someone saying, just wish that Nehemia's death was earned. That would have changed everything. Completely agree. The weakest part of this entire book was Nehemia. And another person says it was a great story, well written, but can also be a little annoying because of all the secrets. And that kind of goes into the Nehemia for me personally.
Someone named Celaena says, I'm always feral to jump into the rest of the series at the end of Crown of Midnight because everything is set.
Mm-hmm. Someone says, if only they have... Wait, what did they say? Okay, I'm getting the general vibes of what they're saying here. If only they have one character who really likes to gossip in that castle, things would have been different. You and I would have thrived.
Yeah, we would. Aaron says, the last chapter is everything, carries a lot of weight for the book, but always gives me chills and makes me teary.
A lot of people are saying that it's really good setup, sets up the series, sets up the rest of the book, setup.
Allie thinks the opposite of me and said, not my fave, but still good. Maybe a little bit of middle book syndrome.
Interesting.
See, I think Asham is better at her second books than her third books. Her third books even Wings and Ruin was kind of meh.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's just all plot.
Wait, so you like Sky and Breath?
No, we hate Sky and Breath.
I thought I liked it. I did like it, and then I changed my mind.
Yeah. It's not that good.
It's a changing point of the series, so good, but first half is slow. The pacing is very jarring, where you go from the first half to the second half, pre-Nehemia's death, post, and that is hard, especially for a book that's relatively short.
I love this series, but this is my least favorite book.
Wow. Controversial. Okay, we have a couple of DMs. We have one DM.
Okay.
I truly believe that this should have been split into 2 books to allow more time for the character relationships to develop. I feel like a lot of the characters feel flat because of how much the story needed to progress in this book. Yeah. I agree. I feel like this book would have hit more if Celaena and Chaol's relationship had developed more. Now, I can respect the tragedy of how short-lived their relationship was. Riddle me this, Amy. Was their short-lived relationship partly because I'm going to just say like it was so tragic, but also because SJM at this point knew that Rowan, so she's writing this one. She's already writing the third one. We know she's a couple books ahead. That's just kind of her writing schedule. And once she goes into the third book, she knows Rowan is endgame. Does that influence negatively this Chaol's relationship with Celaena? Because it was such a buildup for a book and a half for it to fall so short at the end. Or is that just part of the beautiful tragedy that's the mastery of everything? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I could see it being all of the above. It's hard because in Heir of Fire, Celaena and Rowan actually end platonically. So in some ways, SJM still left herself room to make a decision, especially since she writes Assassin's Blade after Heir of Fire.
True.
So she really gave herself...
If she wanted to go back. Yeah, that's fair.
So she gave herself leeway, and I don't know that I mean, are there hints that it's going to be Endgame? Yes, but she could have...
She really leaves it open.
She really, really leaves it open, and she could have written it any way she wanted to. I think their short-lived relationship is partially tragedy, and partially she had to finish this book so that she could get to Wendlyn.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's part of it. I think if the first trilogy had been Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight stretched and maybe filled more with character development, I could see that working. And Celaena and Chaol would have had more time together. Nehemia would have been a more real character,
yeah,
etc.
I mean, that's part of the rush stuff, right? Is that this book starts and SJM is trying to make us believe Celaena and Chaol are endgame. And you and I read Throne of Glass. We did a very intense deep dive. We saw that it was very much Chaol who Celaena wanted. However, she spent a good portion of Throne of Glass teasing out Dorian and teasing out not just like they were making out. There was more than teasing. There was like full on making out and hands from what I remember. So it makes it hard because now she's trying to backtrack in some way, because Dorian saying it was always them from the beginning, even from the moment in Endovir, not really.
Right. Yeah, it's questionable. It does feel like to some extent that's a little bit of a retcon, because that is not how I read the first two chapters of Throne of Glass.
Yeah, I like the second book. It's super strong in the ending, but I also think she wrote herself into a bit of a corner by condensing the two books. Now, however, is there enough content to stretch it out to 3 books? Maybe not, because would we have wanted to keep reading the second book if it didn't have that super intense cliffhanger of, oh my God, you're Fae? You know what I mean?
It could have ended with Nehemia's death.
And is that and would that have been a big enough? I think it could have been big enough.
It might have been.
I think it might have been. I could be on board with that, actually.
Because then you get to spend more time in Chaol and Celaena's relationship.
I think if you had ended it with Nehemia's death and discovering the word keys and all of that would have been potentially enough. But she was probably only contracted for 3 books. We know it eventually extended into a much larger beast. But you and I said at one point, what would we want? ACOTAR 6 or her to rewrite Throne of Glass? And now that
we said rewrite.
Yeah, and we have, now that we know ACOTAR 6 is coming, I doubled down. I think rewrite. I would have liked Crown of Midnight and Throne of Glass to be divided up into 3 books and just make Nehemia a more well-rounded character, make the love story earned, make everything earned.
Yeah.
Rather than just like, oh, we got to do this fast.
Yeah.
All right, now to answer the real question.
So the real question that we asked ourselves at the start of the season, and now it's the end of the season, have the circumstances and outcomes of Crown of Midnight properly prepared Celaena to begin her journey as Aelin Galathynius?
Not in the slightest.
Not at all. I don't know what we thought we were asking ourselves.
I thought we were really clever. I think that it has properly, however, I will say, I think it has properly set her up to have setbacks.
I think it has properly set her up to the point where she has no other choice.
Yeah.
Like, it has truly kind of like punted her into a zone of like, all you can do is travel straight now, honey. You can't go any other direction.
Remind me again. She's not like a drunkard at the beginning of the book, is she?
Yeah, she is.
That connection does not make sense. She just cut her hand.
I guess we'll have to figure it out.
She kowtowed, she bowed, she did the whole thing.
So she's a drunk at the beginning because she's like, I cannot figure out a clever way to get out of the assignment I've been given without killing the people who I'm related to that rule the city. And by the way, they're fucking good people. Their people love them. So it's more of a crisis of what the fuck do I do?
I still don't think that's a good enough bridge. We only it's just such a.
Well, let's save it for when we read it.
All right. But I think that this has set Celaena up to have certain setbacks, and I hope to see those.
It sets Celaena up to fail because Celaena has to die.
Yeah, and I love that.
Celaena has to die. Celaena is dead. And we're holding on to Ghost Celaena right now.
Yeah, just Ghost Celaena hanging out with Ghost Elena.
Yeah, it's true.
I can't wait for us to stop calling her Celaena.
Oh, thank God.
That's my biggest thing. I don't even care if she introduces her as Celaena. R.I.P. Aelin from here on out.
She gets called Alentia for a long time.
I hate that. I hate that nickname. Or this I have given you a name. I don't like it. Although someone made a good thing of potentially that's Nehemia trying to save Celaena from having a nameless, which is cute.
Well, this is in no way the same, but in American Sign Language, you can't give yourself a name.
Yeah.
Until someone gives you a name.
Yep.
Right. You have to spell out your name until someone gives you a signed name, which I appreciate.
Before I started taking Latin, I took sign language.
I think you told me that.
And I was very good. And then the person was like, nope, you're going to take Latin now. My counselor, she's like, that's going to make sense. And I was like, but I was really good at my one semester of sign language. I killed.
More people need to know sign language.
Yeah.
That would have gotten you further in life than Latin.
I agree.
Fuck your advisor. What the fuck? Setting you up for failure.
That was the worst. It was truly. And then I would have had perfect grades if it wasn't for her and that one dick of a professor we had. But other than them, I would have had, I genuinely flourished. There's something about movement, hand movement in my brain that just really clicked. Every once in a while, I think about, you know what, maybe when I'm past my deferment level on my student loans, I just go back to school for sign language.
Yeah.
And I just do that forever and never pay back my student loans.
You could take it through Rio Salado, online school.
Oh, yeah. But I would like to do it in person because then they can tell me what I'm doing wrong. But I would totally do it again. Shay was an interpreter for a while.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah. She's still really good and still can interpret. And when we first met, we would talk and she would sign as we would talk.
Oh, that's so cool.
It was great. Big fan of sign language. So let's all do sign language. This is such an interesting end for the season. Okay, so final notes of the season. Great job, Amy. Brilliant as always.
Great job, Jacqueline.
Thank you. Using my legal name. We have book club coming up.
Yeah. But next week, we're going to do listener thoughts.
Yep. And so book club will start, I think, September 2nd. That's what we said.
Yep.
And then we have a bunch of interviews lined up for the fall that I have no idea. Amy just kind of went in one day and was like,
we're going to schedule these.
I was like, beautiful. Great. A lot more up and coming authors.
Yeah, which I like.
I like it. We've done our job. We've interviewed established, wonderful authors that we all want to talk to. But it's time to give up and coming authors
more of a platform.
Yeah. We can't just keep only plugging
the already successful ones.
I'll always want to continue to plug them. I want to talk to them. But at the same time, take the time to support. And that note, also, even if you haven't read some of the books that we are talking about in book club, some people listen to it and then they're like, they decide whether to read or not.
Oh, I will try not to do too much spoiling.
No, I talked to them about it and they say they love the spoilers. So you have to be.
Oh, okay.
Also, no, that puts us in the same cycle as every beginning of you going, spoilers. And I'm like, no, this is going to be a spoiler. Last sip for the season.
This is the first time ever we have not taken a break during a season. We have recorded every weekend.
Oh, wow.
Consistently.
It doesn't feel too much like it, does it?
Nope. It doesn't feel bad.
It felt nice.
That tells you we finally hit our rhythm. That it doesn't feel like a burden.
That was season 12.
Man.
That was season 12. Thank you for listening to our season finale of Book Talk for Book Talk with Jack and Amy. Next week, we are discussing listeners' thoughts about Sarah J. Maas's Crown of Midnight.
We encourage you to rate and subscribe to our show on your preferred podcast listening platform. We would also love to hear your thoughts based on today's conversation. You can submit your comments to our forum at booktalkforbooktalk.com for a chance to have your feedback discussed during a future mini episode or on a Patreon exclusive episode.
If you're enjoying the podcast, please visit our website, booktalkforbooktalk.com, to view our latest merch and learn about supporting the show through Patreon or Venmo. You can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube at the handle booktalkforbooktalk.
Okay, we need to say bye.
Bye!
Growing up, my parents were obsessive about the chore charts and the stickers that we got to use to track our chores and what each completed chore was worth in money.
And now with Acorns Early, you can apply that to today's kids with modern technology. It's genius. Acorns Early is a smart debit card and money app that grows kids' money skills as they grow up.
Start with the in-app chores tracker and teach your kids the value of $1.
Then let your kids set up their own savings goals, start building healthy money habits early.
Make them work for that PS5.
Absolutely.
Kids can spend what they've earned with their own customizable debit card, giving them the extra sense of independence.
Plus, with Acorns Early, spending limits and real-time spending notifications, parents always stay in control.
This is definitely something I would use if I had kids because I love nothing more than teaching hard work for reward.
This is what's going to happen when I have kids. You're going to be teaching my kids with Acorns Early.
That's exactly right.
Ready to teach your kids the smart way to earn, save, and spend? Get your first month on us when you head to acornsearly.com/booktalk or download the Acorns Early app.
That's 1 month free when you sign up at acornsearly.com/booktalk. BOOKTALK.
Acorns Early Card is issued by Community Federal Savings Bank, member FDIC, pursuant to license by MasterCard International. Free trial for new subscribers only. Subscription fee starting from $5 per month unless canceled. Terms apply at acorns.com/early terms.
This show is sponsored by Liquid IV.
I'll give you one guess into what's my Stanley right now.
Probably something with electrolytes, like Liquid IV.
It's not even funny how true that is. Liquid IV is scientifically formulated to help replenish electrolytes and fluids lost from sweat or exercise, which is perfect because I am both sweating and exercising this summer.
It has 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, plus 8 vitamins and nutrients, all in a single stick. And guess what? They've got Orange Vanilla Dream Hydration right now. It is so nostalgic. Makes me think of summer instantly.
The fact that it has 100% daily value of 4 essential B vitamins, B3, B5, B6, B12, it's an excellent source of vitamin C, and it makes me just feel like I've really accomplished a lot just by drinking one of these.
Powered by Liquid IV Hydroscience, Liquid IV replaces necessary nutrients lost from everyday dehydration, and it doesn't matter if you live somewhere dry or humid, trust me, you're dehydrated.
Just 1 stick in 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone.
It is always non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. And if you're like me and are sensitive to everything, it is fantastic.
Savor the last bits of summer with Liquid IV. Tear, pour, live more. Go to liquidiv.com and get 20% off your first order with code BOOKTALK at checkout.
That's 20% off your first order and code BOOKTALK, BOOKTALK, at liquidiv.com.